Today, we're going to get into what we call the cash machine. And I'll start this with many years ago, there's a story of two brothers, Maurice and Richard McDonald. And these individuals have started what we know today as McDonald's. And this was back in 1940. The first one in this was in California, San Bernardino. And what was so unique about this story is how I tie it to the biggest snatch and grab cash machine grab in history is because these guys started a franchise and it was a mom and pop shop when it first started out. And the interesting part about the McDonald brothers is they had a good little, like I said, a great idea to create a burger, fry, milkshake experience for people that you can get in a couple of seconds, let alone sitting there waiting like you would wait if it was on a grill. As the story turned into something more magnificent, basically because in 1948 they decided to revamp this place and speed up everything and turn it into something that no one had ever seen before. So you could grab your burgers in 30 seconds opposed to waiting 10 minutes like you would typically do at any restaurant back in those days. So that's exactly what made it so unique. But here's the twist. In the early 50s comes along this guy. He was a milkshake salesman, and he sees and experiences going through the line and getting his burger. He was totally shocked when they gave him his burger in such a quick amount of time because that was not a thing. Fast food wasn't really fast back then. And so he had a vision that he could partner with these guys, and he was a milkshake salesman, so he could basically sell them the milkshake machines. And basically that's how the relationship started. But then he saw the bigger vision. The vision was to take this thing and give other people an opportunity to buy into it. And where this thing took a twist is he learned later on that bringing new people in, there were going to be a lot of different problems that you had to deal with. So what he decided to do, instead of just opening up restaurants, that he would basically buy the land that the restaurant sat on. And most people think McDonald's is a burger joint, but it has nothing to do with that. It's all about proximity, location, and that they are basically real estate. Everything that business model is based upon is real estate. So they went from a mom and pop shop to the biggest franchise globally in the world. And they own more real estate than any company. 1% of the earth is McDonald's. So whereas we thought it was a burger joint, it's an actual real estate venture. And that's gone down in history as the biggest snatch and grab cash machine that there is. One of the daughters makes $10 million a day. And so Ray Kroc took what they saw as a great idea and turned it into his vision. And he's a visionary. So therein lies the story of McDonald's. So that's the thing about this show. Think bigger.
Got
Realize that
you.
there's much more available to you when you expand your mind and start to double down on the vision opposed to just a great idea. So today we're here with my co-host Stacy. Welcome,
Hey,
Stacy.
everybody. Yeah, thanks. Man, that was a great story coming off of the story of Starbucks the other week. So it is definitely two just primo examples of thinking bigger and
Thinking
how if you challenge yourself to do it, great things will happen. So yeah,
absolutely.
I didn't know that was a story opening up. So I loved hearing that story again. It's
It's
it's the best. So
amazing.
many lessons in it for sure.
You never know what your venture is going to turn into. And that's one of the
Oh,
reasons that we have to speak directly to our sponsor, Jab Juice Consulting.
mhm.
This is what takes your great idea and turn it into a big vision. And it allows you to see your dream and your beautiful ideas and turn them into something that could just reach a pinnacle that you never imagined. And it's all about, that's exactly what Jab Juice Consulting does. It basically takes what you have to that next level and
Right.
on from there to the world of what you would think is just consulting, but turn it into what we call business mastery. And that's what is so exciting about talking about these conversations. And everybody that's watching gets an opportunity to see where they're thinking about their little idea, or it could be a very good idea, a great idea, but having the mustard behind it to make it all take place and take flight. That's that's a beautiful thing. So I'm looking forward to getting into how do you turn an average thing into a cash machine, which is the conversation of today. And we're going to use a couple of great examples, but let's hear from our co-host today and what you're excited about today, Stace.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, how you open the show, because it really does. If you start, the mindset has to be there about thinking bigger. And I know that we challenge one another to think bigger. Matter of fact, it's part of our system and our process. When we go to
Mm-hmm.
create something for the market, we then take a step back and say, is that big enough? Is that
Mm-hmm.
great enough? Is it serving higher?
Yes.
And it really does, challenge you to get outside of your comfort zone. So
Yes.
I know what we're going to get into today is really cool, and it's because we've been talking to folks that are in our circle in some way, shape, or form, that part of their career, part of their responsibility, part of where they have to show up has to do with events.
Yes.
And, since COVID is behind us, knock on wood, events are back and going.
Yes.
And a lot of people, to pull one off, a big event off, it's a lot of dang work.
Yeah.
And to pull off and actually execute one that makes money, I'm talking like
Yeah.
really makes money,
Yeah.
that's a whole different animal.
Well,
Because so that's what we're going to dive in today. And Eric's going to pull the curtain back a little bit, because we've done
yes.
a lot of this and wanted to share it with you.
Well, what we're going to do is get directly into something really cool for everybody, because you can see yourself in this. So you can start this thing off. What's so crazy is we're going to show you how to just immediately inject $250,000 into your world. And that's what we call cash machine. Most people don't understand that you can get money. That's the easy part. The thing about it is creating a framework where it's a continual thing. You don't just want to do it once. So here's how you can do it, especially if you're in the world of entertainment on any level. So I'm going to go into the numbers. So what we're going to do is table this. And the first thing that we're going to start off doing is making sure that there are components that need to be in place. Your burgers need to be in place. Your fries need to be in place. Your milkshake needs to be in place. You got to have speed. That's what you're selling, at least to the visual of the naked eye. Most of you may be putting on events such as food or fighting. Either way, you can see yourself in this light right here. So we're going to table the conversation. First, we're going to start off with athletes. We're going to start off with the numbers. A 5,000 seat arena. That's all you need. All right. And this is where we're going to break everything down for you. 5,000 square feet. There's a venue somewhere in your city or outside of your city that has 5,000 seats, because this is all going to break down to what we call, there's a real value, and then there's another level in this thing, and it's called super value. And when we start off, we're going to start off with athletes. Just say, for instance, if you're in tennis, you're in boxing. We're going to use boxing or MMA for an example, because a lot of you are from that world. You know us from there. But here's the deal. When you have that, the first thing that you can do is tape. This is what happens when you have a person who's been doing the things right. And we call this the FSS. And the FSS is your fight stock score. Someone who has at least a 40 percentile of these boxes checked can do this. Now, you're going to take 4,800 of these tickets for general admission. Now, this is going to make a lot of sense as I go. 4,800 tickets. This is how we're going to get to $250,000 like that. So no matter what kind of event you're putting on, this is going to serve you greatly. 4,800 tickets will be sold in general admission at $40. And this is with someone, let's just say, who's doing their social media modestly. All right. People aware that you exist and they know that you do a good job. Here's the deal. If you sell 4,800 tickets, which you can, all you have to do is be heard, amplify what you're doing, advertise it, and make sure that people know about what is it that you're about to do. And that's what's going to get the first people. These are general admission tickets at $40. Okay. Now, what you're going to do is get the VIP tickets sold. They're going to be a little bit more. You're going to get VIP tickets sold at $75, 180 of those tickets. And where I'm from, people are excited about coming to those little events. We used to start off in 1,500 square foot arenas, and then we popped it into a 10,000 square foot arena. So this is where I know that you can actually flip these numbers and create what we call the cash machine, something to inject capital right into your journey, your focus, and your mission to get it going. The next thing, when you get that VIP section, now you're going to rope off 10 tickets just for a platinum section. And that platinum section is going to be 10 tickets at $1,500. These are the people that don't want to be around the mass. They are typically people in the world of CEOs, general managers, and very, very astute people in the corporate world who, or at least have corporate money. Here's the deal. When you get those 10 tickets sold, we break it down. The next one, the last 10 tickets will be sold to the celebrity. And these are the people that you reach out for and you market to and get them on board. And like we used to do when we did work in the Chamber of Commerce to raise the $1 million tickets, what we would do the $1 million show. We'd bring in an event, have a silent auction, make it yummy, and people, silent auction and all different types of fundraising events going on within that. Music, catering, drinks, isolated areas for people who are just of the different echelon. This is what makes doing this so cool, because it's so fun to put on. The events just bring immense traction, and these tickets could be sold 5 times over. So you can sell 4,800 tickets. I know I've done it a multitude of times. You can sell 180 VIP tickets. I know because I've done it a multitude of times. Platinum and celebrity. Now let's table the math. The math, and this is just a subpar, modest person doing marketing, whether you're an athlete individually or if you're someone, like I said, that owns any type of business and you're doing okay with your visibility. These are the modest rates that you can charge. And when you do 4,800 tickets at $40, that puts you at a blinding boom, $192,000. Wham! You're already 80% to your goal of $250,000. Then you take it to the next 180 tickets. You're going to like this. 180 tickets at $75 a ticket. That's $13,500. That right there alone lets you know that you understand more about how to make money. Don't talk about it, be about it. Don't keep it in your head, put it on the mic. Start letting people know about it. Then you got your platinum tickets, the people who don't even want to sit down where people, the working class people who got good jobs. They just want to, be in VIP for the sake of, they may have their kids with them and they just want to give the kids an experience. But then you got the platinum, the general managers of the world, the people who are CEOs. They don't want to be in general mass. Some of their employees might want to get at them. So they want to be in their isolation. 10 people. All right. 1,500 tickets at 10 tickets at 1,500. That's $15,000. period, point blank. You're on your way. Your calculation, once you sell the celebrity section, this is a big thing. This is your key people in your town, your city, your state. The people noted for what they do. They have a great brand. People know who they are. You got 10 tickets sold at $2,500. That's $25,000. You're at $245,000 and 245,500. So that's $245,000 right there. Okay. Period. This is how you stop thinking about all of these ways to get it and just figure out how to get more people in front of you doing this operation and realize this. This is a person that has an FSS score in the 40 percentile ratio. Me being someone that has a magnitude, you know, I'm constant, I'm pressuring, I'm putting it out there. I'm letting people know this awareness is a big deal. When you deal with someone who has a FSS score of 7 above, you're dealing in an entirely different number. You can attract a whole different level of individuals. Let's start this off. See, where we started this show is this is a cash grab. But once you pay everybody off with that first money, you really, truly aren't really doing a profit. You could go in a hole if you're putting on a competitive event, fighting event. You can go in a hole after you pay people. You're paying $10,000 here, $15,000 here. But what happens when you start to commit to bringing the right messaging and the marketing and what we call the affinity, the person who has a bigger affinity, you know, those people who do the work, they get their face out there, they're willing. Here's the difference between those numbers. Why? Because I've done this before. Number one, this is a person that have an SS score of above 7%, 70%, 7. Number one, you can sell the 4,800 tickets for $80 now. That's double of what you sold them before. Your takeaway from that, I'll tell you after I run down the other numbers so you can make sure that you jot this down and check my math. The next one is and that's your general admission. I've done it. I paid it. I'd actually charged it. So here's the thing. The VIPs, you got 180 VIPs selling for $125 because that's not a hard thing. When you've done your work, when you putting your word out there, when people know about you, today you have a bigger opportunity to do it. And there's no excuse why you shouldn't, because if you have a goal on creating cash, this is how you do it. Then you can sell the platinums, 10 of them for $1,800. Okay, you don't need a mathematician. You do not need a PhD to know that the math of that is $18,000. Now your celebrity status, people. Celebrity status, the levels of people that you will bring, because you will. They might be known for, they may be known for all types of things. Sports, entertainment, food. They could be the top people in the professional world. Known, noted. We know them all already. So these people are paying. You get 10 of them at $3,500. That's $35,000. Now, do you see how this thing is taking a different shape, where the people who are out there are looking for what you do? They are looking to get inside of your circle. They are making it obvious that I need to have something to do over the course of these weekends. What is it that you have to do? They put on amazing things. And then we break it all down. And there is another way to add on to that. So I'm going to break it down. With this, all tallies, 4,800 tickets at $80 a piece is $384,000. You can already see for general admission, that's a real thing. We've seen people put on shows and they can't fill an arena of 5,000 people. You know why? Take that down for 1 second. You know why they can't do it? Because they're doing modest marketing. They're working with people who don't want to put their name out there. They just want to win. They just want to be known. They just want the success. They just want the big purses, but they don't want to do the work, which the work makes it exciting. That's one of the reasons I still have a record for down in the RBC Center, still to this day, because I understood if I can be louder than everybody and get this message out here, I can do better than the radio can do. Now, the VIPs, you got 180 tickets at 125. That's 220. I mean, that's $22,500. You can use that. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can use that because that is real revenue. You're doing things that most people have no idea that you have the capabilities of doing, because you're doing the things that people are uncomfortable doing. The next category is your platinum. You got 10 of them at 1,800. That's your 18,000. And then you got your celebrity 10 at 3,500. That's 35,000. That's a total of $459,000. $459,500 to be exact, just in case somebody boom boom.
That's some cash.
But that's working capital. That's your cash machine. The next thing that you have to pay close attention to is the after party. You can get this moving to 500K even and a little bit above if you have an influencer after party, where the influencers of the world who are making a crap ton of money, they're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month on YouTube. They're making a crap ton of money using TikTok Shop. These people exist. You can find 10 of them, $5,000 after party, influencer tagging, mentions in social media, all of the things that come with it, perks. That's your easiest $50,000 that you can get out of everything, because they want to be known. They get paid to be known. They get paid to go viral. They want the smoke. And this is what it's all about. Hence is why consistency is king. And if you want a business to be successful, you have to understand how to make it a cash machine. And this is one of the ways that you can make, if you have an average sponsor, a thought leader who doesn't do the real work, they don't want to put the real energy and the effort behind it, these individuals, they're going to be what we call modest. And if you're doing modest work, you're going to get modest pay. And $245,500 is modest pay based on what you could do with the same arena, sitting 5,000 people. You can double that. You can make $500,000, an after party that people will never stop talking about. They'll probably shoot a documentary on. It'll take over what we call breaking the internet. It's all about having the passion, the understanding, and the ability to think bigger. Because you don't want to always play close to the vest when it comes down to what you can profit in an event. You want to take that event and turn it into something that would be guided and led by what we call the ultimate influential person, whether they are one of the people that take part in it, or because you have to encourage these people the benefits of it. You can make $10,000 on this event, my young friend, or you can make $100,000. Which sounds better? Do the work. That's it. Stacey, anything you want to weigh in right here?
No, I appreciate you sharing all that. I mean, we had the visual made of, and for these numbers, and I think the important takeaway is, right on target of what we're talking about is thinking bigger. I think most people really think about just the ticket sales. What do they make at the gate?
Yeah.
But you can diversify that, have different price levels, right?
Yes.
And then you want to think of your event not as just an event, but an experience. And when you think of it that way, you can have different levels to that experience, both in pre-event, event, and post-event, which Eric mentioned, the post-party. So that's that VIP thing, and to be able to leverage this day and time with influencers being able to show up, people want to rub elbows with them. especially if you happen to be in the sport of boxing or MMA, you've got these former athletes and even current athletes that love to show up because
Yeah.
they're all about keeping their brand relevant, excuse me.
Yes.
And so if they show up at a hot event, that does nothing but boost their FSS.
Mm-hmm. And when you speak to it, we're going to really just rewind it back a little bit, because where I think people kind of miss the boat is that there's a misinterpretation of what's required and what you're used to doing and what you're comfortable doing.
Mhm.
When you're out here trying to bring awareness to whatever you're doing, I mean, we have people who are bandits who think if they send a link to somebody that's contributing to some value, but that's about you. It brings no one else value. So that's why those kind of things get very little traction. You post
Mhm.
up some kind of a banner, it gets very little traction
It does.
because it's no effort and it's no value. You'll just basically need to learn how to cultivate a message that penetrates a person's guard and walls and shows that what you're doing is something that will bring them value and not something that'll toot your own horn. You haven't earned that right yet. This is where, when I assess companies as a consultant, I have to be honest with them. You're modestly posting, even if it's consistent, there's absolutely no value. All you're talking about is you. But today in social media, people understand the word value comes around what is you telling me or doing for me that improve my quality of life just by listening to you.
That's right.
If that's not a part of what your recipe is, it's not going to work. Zero, zilch. That's where your traction is taking a hit. And that's where your sales are taking a hit. And that's why you're not creating impact. You have to get out of the modest state of mind, and you have to get out of them thinking about you only want to tag a person so they can see what you are doing that is not bringing them value. It's only bringing you value. In the
That's right.
game of business, it's all about pitching and catching. You do something, and I'm going to give you something that benefits you. And when you do something, hopefully you do something that benefits me and I can support it. I won't just be pressing like just to press like. I will press like when you give me some value, something that makes my day easier. So I start off with positive quotes. Start off with making sure people understand there's an actual process that they have to endure in order to get their companies or their entrepreneurship or their status as an influencer into that next echelon. And when you understand that there's a process and there's an actual framework to do it, then you'll start to have much more success. Your internet will start breaking down because of the influx of people trying to sign up for whatever it is that you have people wanting to sign up for, like ours just did.
Yeah.
Multiple times over, just you get new problems when you approach what you're doing differently. But
Mhm.
until then, what'll happen is you'll be like the McDonald brothers. They were basically iced out of their own company,
Mhm.
later to be revealed that they hardly had any say of what happened as the company was taken from them. Yet again, it was their great idea. They created a system inside of that restaurant that would get the burger, fries, and shake to a person in a systematic manner in a fraction of the time. It wasn't about how fast they cook. It was about the system that they had in place, how they would have a person bunning the burger, a person ketchuping and pickling the burger, a person doing the fries, a systematic flow of the milkshakes being done, all of this stuff simultaneously in a chain. And these guys worked on it over and over and over, day in and day out, hours and hours at a time. that was their full-time job outside of the restaurant, to get a methodology down that would create minimal time and maximum return. They
Mhm.
did all of that just to have it all taken away from someone who had a bigger vision. They thought small. Mom and pop shop, they wanted their hands on it all the way. The fact that they wanted their hands on it, they didn't want it to get in other people's hands, because other people wouldn't do it the exact same way that they would. They let somebody do it. They found out the person was selling chicken. They wanted too much control, and they were too much of the perfectionist thing going on. That perfection thing is it's the number one killer of all big dreams. When you want everybody to do it just as good as you, all you need is 80%. 10 of those people, that's 800%.
True.
You don't need 100%. Your 100% does not equal 800%. So if you got 8 people working, 10 people working at 80% of what you would have as your bar, then that's 8 times what you're doing on your perfect day.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case. They wanted to hold it and only cook perfect things. They didn't want a cookie cutter. Ray
Mhm.
Kroc said, I want the cookie cutter smoke. I'm going to take this restaurant and I'm going to multiply this thing around the globe, and I'm going to go check up on these individuals. And then after that became so much of a headache, he was like, hey, I'm just going to focus on the land, which is what one of his advisors told him to do. Don't buy the problem, buy the solution. Own the land regardless. And that's what we call think bigger. That's why
Right.
McDonald's owns the majority share of Earth, because they own the land.
Mhm.
1%. This
Yeah.
place is 25,000 square miles around. 25,000 miles around the Earth is. They own 1% of it. You can't imagine the tally. There's someone making $10 million a day, a person, his daughter.
Yeah.
And so that's what comes from thinking bigger. So Stace.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to that, because I think you just really hit the nail on the head,
Yeah.
as we were talking about these events today and how you can create a cash machine. I think the bottom line for me is, for those of you who, are involved in event planning, is to really expand your mind and what you're thinking of what is that event. And
Yeah.
that therein lies where you can plug in your numbers.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, we're firm believers. If you haven't heard it by now, we're firm believers in knowing your numbers, because as we always say, men lie, women lie more, numbers don't. So
Bing.
when you go to prepare for your event, that you know what your numbers are and you know where they're going to come from. And with, when you know how to think bigger, you create more opportunities. So
Yeah.
that's the big takeaway today. And Eric, I appreciate you sharing just the story of McDonald's. There's so many incredible lessons in that. If you've never watched the movie Founder, you got to watch it. And you can just watch it over and over. And it just dovetails perfectly with the think bigger, because that's exactly what Ray Kroc did. And that's actually the opportunity everybody has the opportunity to do as well.
That's right. It's a 5,000 square foot arena. I mean, a 5,000 seat arena somewhere, or venue that could be filled up, that you could fill up. The number
Mhm.
one thing, as far as me myself being someone who advises, is I don't like to come off like I'm telling you what to do. But I've learned through my experiences that when you are when you have the ability to have someone vocally tied to what you're doing, and that people are learning about it and really get the data about it, that's really what you can do. That's one of the things. My suggestion is, you can't get maximum return with a modest effort. And
Mhm.
not to say that you're not working hard, but the effort that has to be impeded on is the effort that holds the bag of money. Money is captured and retain when people who are looking for what you have know about it and show up on the date that you say you're doing it. And
Mhm.
so, with that being said, my only takeaway from experiencing it myself was get out of my own way. And if I couldn't do it, bring somebody around me that would be willing to be the voice, the thought leader, the anchor behind that voice, so I can do the thing that I love the most. So for all of you individuals who are out there wanting to expand what you're doing and what we call create the money machine, make
Yeah.
sure you got the right voices there and do that. And that is where the rubber meets the road and your success will reside. Trust what I'm saying. So
Does.
hopefully this was a show that gave you some value. We'll, on the next episode, what we're focusing on is bringing you guys in the loop of what are some of these terms that we're using, like the FSS score
Yeah.
and these things, FSP. We're going to break those things down so you'll have a very good comprehension of it and that you'll know how to implement it into your world and spike your numbers. And it'll make everything that you're doing that's not getting the return that you want, it'll turn that into an absolute cash machine and you'll have new problems. But until then, we're going to say goodbye. And like I said before, sponsored by Jab Juice Consultants, making companies finally see what their full potential will be by giving them the guidance, direction, and some action items to take front and center. So find them at jabjuice.com. That's all I got for right now. Stacey,
Yeah. Thank you guys. Great to be with you today. And we will see you on the next show.
sounds good. See you all
See you next
soon
time.
in the winner's circle.
Mhm.
Peace.